Hello and welcome to another Django tutorial. My name is Tom with LearnPythonTutorial.com, and in today's tutorial we're going to set up a virtual environment. A virtual environment gives us the ability to work with many versions of Python and Django and other Python packages on our system at one time. If we didn't have a virtual environment, we would most likely have a lot of packages on our default Python, which could get confusing, could slow down the computer, and make it very difficult to work on multiple projects at the same time. So what the virtual environment does is sets up a partition between each project and gives us the ability to work with multiple versions of the same software at one time. For example, right now I have 4 Django projects going on. This is going to be my 5th. The other 4 are for my day job. And I have multiple versions of Python and Django going on, so having a virtual environment makes my life a heck of a lot easier. So anyway, before we can even get started with installing the virtual environment, I had a brain fart there for a second, we need to make sure we have Python 3 installed on our computer, specifically Python 3.5, because that's what we're going to be using in these tutorials. So I know how to access mine. If you've been following along in our tutorials, you should be able to access yours. Mine's Python 3 will give me Python 3.5.2. Now, if you only have one version of Python installed on your computer, it might just be Python to bring up Python 3.5.2. Now, if Python and Python 3 do not work for you, you may need to go watch our video on how to install Python 3.5 before we get started here. Now, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and check to make sure we have pip installed on our computer. And what pip does is it makes it easy to install Python packages and manages Python packages for us. Now, to access your pip for your 3.5 is basically the same way we would access our Python. So if you access Python without the number, then it's probably just pip, like PIP, like that. So we can check our version. I'm going to tell you right now, mine is a bit screwy, and it's going to come back Python 3.5 when it should come back Python 2.7. So disregard that, and let's check with pip 3 -- version. Boom, Python 3.5. Alright, so in theory, I should be using pip 3, even though pip and pip 3 both say Python 3.5. But if my computer wasn't screwy, I would be using pip 3. So I'm just going to continue with our tutorial as pip 3. Alright, so now we need to go ahead and install the virtual environment. So we'll do pip 3 install virtual env. Alright, so mine's going to go ahead and install it. Actually, my requirements are already satisfied, so mine's already installed. Yours is going to go through install. You're going to have a couple more lines here, and then it'll say successfully installed. Alright, cool. You might also get a message that says pip is outdated. You don't have the latest version of pip. So in that case, we're going to go ahead and update it for you. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So if you use pip 3 to install virtual env, you would do pip 3 install hyphen upgrade pip. Alright, so it's going to upgrade pip. If you used pip to install what was I going to say? Oh, if you use pip to install to install virtual environment, then use just pip install upgrade pip. Alright, that's just, it's not required, but it's a good practice to keep the stuff updated. So Command K to clear our screen. Now we have virtual environment installed. We have our pip updated. Let's go ahead and install or activate our virtual environment. But first we want to be able to have our own folder for our Django tutorials or our projects. So let's go ahead and do that first. In programs, this is not where I want to put it, so I'm going to do cd back to desktop and then do ls, list out what's in here. I got results, videos, programs, Blender, Python tutorial videos. Not where I want to save my projects, so let's go ahead and do mkdir. This makes a directory, and then Django. Alright, hit return, and then list out, and now we see I have a Django tutorial down there. And we're going to go to cd into there, DJ Django, and now we can start our virtual environment. To create a virtual environment, it's pretty simple, and what we just do is type virtual. So we're calling that software package, and then we want to specify which version. So if you have multiple versions of Python installed on your computer, like 2.7 and 3.5, you want to specify. So -p will say, hey, we want a specific Python version. So in this case, I'm going to say Python 3, because that's what we're going to be working with. And then one more command in here is going to be the name of our virtual environment. I'm going to use LPT for Learn Python Tutorial. Alright, when you hit return, it's going to install some packages, and once it's done doing that, it's going to give us the command line back. So there we go, installed the packages. If we go ls, we're going to see LPT in our Django folder here. Now let's go ahead and Command K out of there, and let's cd LPT. Now list out again what's in there. We got bin lib include pip selfcheck.json. Now bin is what we use to activate our virtual environment, because right now we're not technically in a virtual environment until we activate it. So to activate it, we do source bin activate, and that activates our virtual environment. And you see the parentheses and LPT over here. We're now in a virtual environment. So any packages we install from this point on just go into this folder, and they're not available outside the virtual environment. So if I was on if I was outside the virtual environment, I can still access the folders, but I can't per se add stuff to it. All right. So we're in the LPT. This is how it should look when we start working in Django. And to exit, if you're wondering, is deactivate. All right. And to enter back in, it's source bin activate. Oops, activate. Boom, back into it. LPT. All right. If you have any questions about virtual env or installing Python or anything like that, please leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to help you out. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to share the video, and don't forget to check back for the next Django tutorial. We'll see you in the next one.